People that we work with, the families and individuals that we work with are really generous. You typically fall within one of two camps. Some people want to spend their last dollar on their last day, or they want to bounce their last check.
Sure.
Some people have a meaningful desire to leave a legacy to their kids and grandkids, but it doesn't matter. Most of the families we work with, they've earned their money, right? They spent 40 years working hard, being disciplined, saving their money, so they want to get the most out of their savings that they can, not only while they're alive and living the retirement that they've always dreamed of, but also when they pass, whatever is left over, they want to go in the most efficient way possible to their kids, their grandkids, as they can, and that's where the planning really comes into play.
Yeah, that's what we want to help people do today, Chawn, is understand some of the options that they have for leaving a legacy, and also understand that your money can go a little further if you start at least thinking about it, 5, 10, 15 years? What's the advice there?
Yeah, we always talk to the different individuals we get an opportunity to interact with about the timing. We talk about that retirement red zone. So if you are within that 10 years of a retirement, that is the ideal time to learn more about what it means to have a retirement plan. Start thinking about all these different aspects of their retirement journey that's going to be in front of you so that you're prepared. You don't know what questions are going to come up and when they're going to come up. So having that plan puts you in that position to be prepared for whatever does come your way in retirement.
And Chawn brought up a really good point, because having a retirement plan, which is what you guys help people do, that helps you really clearly identify, Loren, what you could earmark for the kids and grandkids.
Yeah, it can identify what you need throughout the course of your retirement to live on, because when people retire, they're most of the time, they're more concerned about, do they have enough? Do they have enough to live their retirement dreams, as opposed to they want to leave $1 million to their kids and grandkids. However, the six components of a retirement plan are very much intertangled. And the strategies that you put in place to maximize your income over the course of your retirement by decreasing taxes, increasing your spendable income, can also work to maximize the legacy, whether you have an intentional, meaningful legacy you want to leave behind, or you're in the camp of you just want to leave whatever is left in the most efficient way possible. Those strategies can couple to accomplish multiple goals within the overall plan.
Okay, so you've said maximize a lot. I think people out there going, okay, I like that, but what does it look like? So you have an example that at least kind of show the power of planning.
Yeah, let's just take a Mr. and Mrs. Jones, so completely hypothetical. Let's say Mr. Jones has $500,000 in an IRA. He's never paid taxes on any of that money before. Mrs. Jones has her own IRA that she's never had to pay taxes on before. Mr. Jones and Mrs. Jones, while they're in retirement, they're taking out the money. They can, based on this year's tax brackets, they can make about $82,000 of taxable income, and their top bracket is only 12%. Well, Mr. Jones passes away, and Mrs. Jones inherits the $500,000 in the IRA, plus what she has. Now, she's over RMD age, which means she has to take out at least a minimum amount, and now her taxable income to still remain in that 12% bracket can only be about $41,000 of taxable income. So she can make significantly less. And what we see in practice a lot of times is Mr. Jones passes away, Mrs. Jones now has all of the resources, and now she gets bumped up into maybe the 22 or 24% tax bracket with the same level of income coming in. A lot of that has to do with the required minimum distribution.
Yes.
Yeah, we know these life events are going to happen as we help our families build these plans. We know what's happening right now. We never know when these events are going to happen. So having that plan, having these strategies, that is where we try to maximize. We're trying to help all of you be as efficient as possible with all these assets. So while you're a couple, you have two, we have a joint income that we're basing our tax rates off. You go to single, whether you started in retirement as a single individual or whether you moved from joint to single during retirement because one individual passes away, you need to be prepared for that. Not planning, not preparing, that doesn't present as much control to your plan and your situation. That's where you don't maximize your assets because you don't have as much control. And maybe you're effectively going to pay more in taxes. I mean, nobody out there wants to voluntarily pay more in taxes, but everybody, we talk to all of you and you say, yeah, I'm willing to pay my fair share, but we certainly don't want to give the IRS any more than we have to.
Yeah, and that example with Mr. and Mrs. Jones, that's just while Mr. Jones passes away. What happens when Mrs. Jones passes away? Now, whatever she has left over goes to their kids, And chances are their kids are still working, not only working, but in their highest earning income, which means their tax brackets are probably higher. They receive this pre-tax money from Mrs. Jones that nobody's ever paid taxes on before. And based on current law, the kids have to have that money removed from that IRA or those IRAs within a 10-year time frame. So that extra income added onto the kids' already higher income could push them into a higher tax bracket. And that's one way not to maximize these resources that Mr. and Mrs. Jones spent a lifetime accumulating.
Okay, so I hear you saying that a lot of an IRA can go to taxes. So people out there are like, okay, I kind of get that, but what can I do? How can I avoid, again, paying more tax than I want to on this IRA?
Yeah, and this is where the tax planning really comes into play for Mrs. and Mr. Jones. And ideally, Mr. and Mrs. Jones would do this while they're both alive and ideally healthy. Pre-retirement is even better, but even if you're retired, you can still incorporate these plans within retirement. And a lot of these strategies like Roth conversions or incorporation of life insurance, a lot of those tax planning strategies can not only impact the kids and grandkids when they receive whatever's left over, but it can impact in a really meaningful way Mr. and Mrs. Jones while they're alive, taking out tax-favored or tax-free income as opposed to taxable at their ordinary income tax rates. So with our families, every year we spend a lot of time talking about building and implementing their tax plan for that year in the following year, because the most effective tax planning strategies you have to do in the year, in the calendar year. You can't wait till April or a tax filing deadline of the following year.
And a lot of people think they have a tax plan when we first meet people. Because you're using a CPA or a tax preparer, you feel like you have a tax plan. But then we start talking to them about really what tax planning is, which is much different than the tax preparation that you're getting from your CPA. The tax plan isn't about just that 1 year. We're not always trying to just win that 1 year, which is really kind of how we grow up. Pay the least amount of taxes this year and worry about everything in the future. Having that tax plan is about that 1 year, but then we're factoring in what does the next 10, 20, 30 years look like? What does your retirement journey look like? And then now as we're focusing on the legacy plan, we want to think even more about, well, what does your legacy plan, well beyond, what do your beneficiaries' tax plan and tax picture look like with the assets that are going to be a part of their plan from you?
Yeah, one of the biggest pieces of feedback or things that people say to us is we just don't know what we don't know. Well, you don't have to worry about this kind of stuff. What we do with the families and individuals we work with is we bring these concepts to them and say, here's, based on the total picture, based on your total plan, here's some of the ideas and strategies that you can implement to save taxes not only while you're alive and taking income from your IRAs and your other investments, but here's some of the things that you can do from a legacy standpoint, whether or not that's a real big intent right away at retirement or not. Again, most people want whatever's left over whenever they pass to go in the most efficient way. And these plans, these strategies have to be implemented, and the sooner you can do so, the better off you're going to be. Thank you for watching this clip of Retiring Today, and don't forget to subscribe. If you have questions about your retirement plan, take advantage of the complimentary 15-minute retirement checkup phone call.